Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Ask Bill Keegan Show. Today's guest is new Human Services Director, Marc Craig. And hello, Marc, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I get so used to saying human resources and the things that we do, but human services is obviously a big element of the community. And I think we in the past we have focused our attention on mostly council on aging, and that's sort of an evolving field now into being more human services, and we'll get to that later, get that question later on, but to describe that a little bit more. But so, as the newest member of our team, I think the community wants to know a little bit about you, and we're certainly glad you're here. And so, tell us a little bit about your background, your experience, and what brings you really to Foxboro.
Yeah, so I went to school, University of Maine, with a degree in therapeutic recreation. And outside of school, I thought my life was going to lead me one way with recreation and with kids. And I worked in Hanover before moving to Randolph about 8 years ago. Ran the rec department there for 2 years before the town manager said, Senior Center Director is retiring and love to combine these roles into one position. Thought about it for a few days and realized, okay, this could be my sort of next step in my career. Met some of the senior center staff in Randolph and realized it was just a perfect fit. The programming needs of seniors is very similar to children. And seniors have a little bit more of social services needs that kids I wasn't used to, but after working for a few years at the senior center and bringing more and more opportunities, I realized it was just a perfect decision. And what I was able to do is incorporate some of the rec department's programs with seniors, collaboration with staff, and the ultimate goal was building an intergenerational community center in Randolph, which was my project for the last 5 years. Getting from feasibility study to building, appropriation for construction, and then opening last November. So that was my main goal for the community. And then once the community center opened, this is intergenerational, so there might be seniors in the morning, kids in the afternoon, teenagers in between, adults after work. All-encompassing programs for everyone, all 33 members, 33,000 residents in the community. After the community center opened, realized, okay, what's my next step here? The community center ended up being very self-sufficient. It was self-governing. It was just a great process. But I started trying to find what's the next step. And this past summer, seeing a posting for Foxboro for human services coordinator director, I realized that that's where I needed to be. Chose Foxboro, a unique opportunity, someone who my predecessor had been around for 20 years. I could tell that it was something that could be changed in the community. The building opened 20 years ago, so just felt like this could possibly be the next step for me. And luckily, after interview process with yourself and others, I came to Foxboro.
Well, we appreciate the fact that you're here. So I think obviously we have a well-grounded program. Vicki Lowe did a terrific job for so many years, and certainly well-respected member of this community. And we're very grateful for all the services that she brought to this community. So I guess we're looking at a point now, and I think you described that pretty well, that we're looking at the next evolution, if you will, of where we go from here. So so in your travels and understanding of human services work and working with seniors, working with children, working with people in the human services realm, what do you see as what's evolving now? What is the next generation? What is it looking like in the future?
Yeah, that word I mentioned earlier, that intergenerational, is a key word. It allows for between-generational programming to happen in the community. For instance, in Randolph, we had a very divided community. We had teenagers, mostly first-generation Americans, and seniors who had lived there most of their lives, and it was not really a great communication. So we started programming in between generations. And people came out and learned about other cultures, learned about, a 70-year-old would learn about what life today is like in America at 17, something they don't normally experience. So I see the intergenerational programming as a forefront for any elder services programming. Doesn't mean that the traditional programming goes away. It's sort of an add-on, something new for seniors to experience. And it's something that's been around for a number of years, just called different things, pen pal programs between seniors and high school students. But I see that as an opportunity for seniors to learn from younger students, and as students to learn from their elders too. It's an important factor that has gone away in society today.
So who do you see as your partners here in Foxborough in this case? Now we have some really great offerings from so many different directions in this community, from the schools, from the libraries, from the recreation programs, from all those things combined offer really good programs for a cross-section of the entire community. So how do we bring those things together to make it more of a community-oriented service?
Sure, yeah, it definitely has started in its infancy already. So the Foxborough Regional Charter School comes over to the Senior Center once a week to provide technology classes for seniors. That's a perfect example of intergenerational programming. The Serenading Seniors, they have a performance up at one of the elementary schools this week. It's something where the children from IGO and the seniors can interact and can collaborate. Building upon those relationships is definitely key. One thing I'm working on now, and I've spoken to the rec department about it, and it's something that I hope to see in the future, is something I did in Randolph, which was Senior Olympics. And it's a natural collaboration. It's something that I borrowed from Quincy with the rec department and senior center. In Randolph, we did the same thing. It was the rec department running Senior Olympics for seniors. It's a great week full of events of seniors participating in 1 mile walk, 2 mile walks, darts. That's just sort of a natural collaboration between recreation and elder services too.
Excellent, excellent. So as this evolves here in Foxborough, developing those partnerships with those departments, bringing those services together, what does the future look like here in Foxborough? I mean, what do we think? Where is this all going to end up? Do you think in the next 10 years? Can we chart that course for a little bit right now? I mean, surely it's all hypothetical. We know that, but there are a lot of different elements that we could bring together here. And I guess the one thing that we all want to continue to focus on here is the community quality of life. I mean, this community continues to evolve as we do, but really the emphasis always has been and remains to be strongly on the issue of quality of life and sense of community. Right. So how do we think we can do a job that will continue to improve upon that?
My number one goal is engaging the community. We have a number of seniors who would never be caught dead in a senior center. They don't consider themselves seniors. They're 65 years old, but they would never step foot in a senior center. Right now, there's about 1,000 seniors who come into the space. In a community of 3,800 seniors, it's a small margin. I'd love to see the opportunities grow in the community. I'd love to see people not feel like that they, I want to see them engaged. If some people they sleep here, but they participate in activities, they work outside of the community, to get them engaged in the community is important for me, especially for our seniors and human services clients.
Great. So during the past, you've been here roughly about a month, right?
About a month.
So you're still a newbie around here. So what have you found so far? What have your observations been so far?
So the very first couple of weeks, I was able to meet other department heads and other town staff. And honestly, going home and talking to my wife about work and explaining how work went that day, I said, everyone wants to be here, which isn't unique in every town. My previous community, not everyone wanted to work there, or not everyone wanted to live there. It was a community by necessity rather than desires. Meeting the other department heads, everyone loves working here. That's a big difference. It's a big difference. People that like their jobs are going to do more for the community. People that like where they live, they want to participate in more. So for Foxborough, it's not a challenge. It's something that we already have the first steps there to a seriously engaged community and everyone coming out to everything.
And it's a collegial environment amongst the department heads, and it's interesting. You come to our operations meeting. We have to get past the first 10 minutes where we're all having a little bit of lighthearted stuff between ourselves, but it's a good group, and we really enjoy. I personally enjoy working with all this group, all these people, because they're just really talented in all the things they do, including yourself. So what do you think is the biggest accomplishment you did when you were in Randolph? What do you believe it was the senior center?
I think it was actually, the Intergenerational Community Center was a great thing for the community. I think my biggest accomplishment was taking two departments from something very small to something really impressive.
Okay.
We were recognized on the state and national level for engaging community members. From something that the rec department was operated out of a shed, and the senior center was a old elementary school that was basically dilapidated. We were able to plan programs and engage a lot of seniors, especially seniors that were working. Typical senior center hours are when, if you're 65 years old, still working. So by extending hours, we were able to engage many more seniors. So I think that going from 0 to 60 in a couple of years was impressive for the town. So the building was great. The community center was this amazing figurehead, big piece of the community, but I think it's more of the people enjoying the programs.
Right. So talk a little bit about that, because I think you touched upon something really important here, is that you had some facilities, but they weren't really serving the needs of the community in a good way. And in fact, they were more silo oriented, where everybody stayed in their own little areas, and nobody sort of collaborated, and that intergenerational thing was somewhat limited at that point. So the opportunity, as it is right here, is that we've got great programs in all segments of this community, but there is some. I mean, I don't mean to say that in a negative way, but there is some, but there can always be more.
Sure.
And I think what I saw, what you described to me, what happened in Randolph was a great story, and I was really impressed by that. That's part of the reason why you're here. But the thing that really impressed me was the fact that you talked about how you were able to, when the seniors do certain things and the children do certain things, everybody sort of takes ownership of that space. But here you were able to break down those barriers, and talk a little bit about that, because that was very interesting.
Yeah, so we had the former senior center in Randolph was an old elementary school, and some of the seniors went to school there. And the very first couple of weeks that I was there, some of the seniors said, look, if there's any way we can get a new building, we'd love it. Because I went to elementary school here, I didn't have the greatest time, and now I'm forced to come to programs here. And the same thing, the school was older, was built many years ago, could use a couple renovations over that time, and wasn't really given the chance to. So having these sort of, as you say, silos of pockets of opportunities, we had a rink on one side, a pool on the other side, the rec office and the senior center, bringing everyone together was able to provide more opportunities for seniors. Having something as simple as they hadn't used the pool since their kids were in high school, which is where the pool was located, and just offering a senior pass to use the pool meant a world of difference. Yeah, we were able to have open swims that were basically empty during the week, filled with seniors, because they had never been, that publicity never reached them before. And sometimes it's as simple as making sure that the message is received loud and clear numerous times with all members of the community, not just seniors. But moving it into one space in a coordinated effort meant that everyone was working towards the same goals too.
That's great news. So the cross collaboration meant that you saw actually a real increase in the amount of use. And talk about the hours of your facility, because you went from, basically 9 to 5, 9 to 4 type of operation to more or less a 7-day, 12-hour-a-day operation, because the seniors of today aren't the same seniors as they were just even 10, 15 years ago. There's a lot of seniors who like to work well beyond 65 and work well into their 80s in some cases. But so what that means is that they're not available to take part in those programs during the day. So they're available later on at night or late in the afternoon. And by creating this situation that you had, you created an opportunity for them. So it wasn't your traditional senior center. This was not just a building that housed people that were just older. This is an eventful, worthwhile, life enhancement type of situation. So tell me a little bit about. Want to talk a little bit about that?
So the senior center, when I first got there, was the opening hours were 8:30 to 3:30, which again is great for retired seniors. It's great for them. But if you're a senior who might be retired, but you're watching your grandkids during the day, or you're a senior who has to work into their 70s and 80s, you can't participate. So about 2 years in, as we started to realize the ultimate goal of a community center that would be open 7 days a week, I started to add Saturday morning programs. And to be honest, it was a scary test for me, because we kind of put a lot of work and effort into it and new exciting programs. And would people come out? Big publicity push for a number of months, and that very first week, the building was full.
Wow.
It was full of programs that weren't offered during the traditional weekday. So there's some seniors that would come on Monday through Friday, but also came on Saturday, and then a whole bunch of seniors we had never seen before.
Right.
Younger seniors that were working, seniors that were taking care of their grandkids, or seniors that just thought, and I'm not a senior, but I want to come out to this, really non-traditional senior programming that was very successful. And then we started to add, each day of the week, we started to extend hours past 3:30. So we started with Thursday closing at 8 p.m., which seniors after dark, some of the older seniors, we're not going to come to those programs, but the younger seniors were really interested.
Right.
And it provided us more opportunities. So we gradually increased every few months, adding more opportunities later into the evening. And eventually, before we moved into our new building, the senior center was open almost 80 hours a week.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
So you basically doubled the hours, but yet you were able to capture existing resources to make that happen. So it's not like we we created this whole new operation. It was taking existing resources, putting them all under one roof, and basically extend the hours based upon what those resources they already had.
Yeah, I had some great recreation staff members that were looking for more hours, and some of them were teachers in other communities that worked summer camp, and they said,
Sure.
I'd love to do stuff with seniors.
Yeah.
So there were teachers in Brockton who were able to come over to Randolph after school and just run some programs.
You ran programs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we have, as you know, a very active recreation program here now that provides some great services all summer long. And then all throughout the year. It's a 12-month program that's it's really well attended by a lot of folks in the community, and so that opportunity for partnership there is wide open. That on top of the fact that we have an active YMCA as well, so we have that resource as well. We don't have a single building, and someday we'll have that conversation, but it's not something in the immediate plans, but something that maybe we want to talk about at some point in the future. But having said that, what opportunities exist now? I mean, between the senior element of the senior community, so to speak, and then also the recreation community, and the YMCA.
Yeah, so right now the YMCA does a diabetes prevention program at the senior center. I see that relationship growing as we move forward. I know that they're looking to get more people into their facility, and we're obviously looking to get more people into ours. It's a natural collaboration. Anytime they're a service provider in the community, it's a natural collaboration. With the rec department, we kind of started talking about moving collaborations and working together in the future, but haven't got any concrete plans yet. But I see a lot of unique opportunities for everyone in the town.
That's great. That's great. So, human services is really an all-encompassing title that includes a lot of different elements. You've got council on aging, you've got general public, you've got challenged members of the community that require some services. So tell us a little bit more about we've actually changed the title for your position, so that just so you know, we're actually more emphasis on just overall human services. Obviously, still a strong element of senior services because we certainly have a strong emphasis there. But tell us about how you think you can evolve that now into going forward from here.
Sure. I'm not sure if many people realize that in the senior center, the human services exists, and we have two unbelievable social workers, very dedicated, that provide opportunities and services to residents of all ages. A lot of seniors come and help out. They're looking for housing applications or fuel assistance. But those services are there for everyone. So if a young mom is looking to figure out the SNAP program or figure out housing for their small family, they can come and speak to one of our social workers and get the assistance that they need at no charge, too. It's something even if it's just a quick, I've got a couple questions, can you help me with an application? This confusing application, who do I talk to? The services are there ready, waiting. One thing I'm working on now is going beyond our social workers and having opportunities in programming for human services clients, the same people that might be looking for SNAP applications, how to write a resume, how to write a cover letter, things that aren't really taught in schools anymore that, these people are 20 and 30 years old and they kind of haven't learned those skills. And if I can make sure that they can get those skills in that building, that would be just great.
And we probably could help you with that because we, through our human resources efforts, we could help people with interviewing skills as well. Because that's a lost art too. I actually observed that in a lot of people that come through our doors that interview and don't do it very often and don't do a very good job of it. So in certain things that and especially the young people of the community, but also older people in the community that are actually looking to change careers or do something different. We can coach those folks because we know that there are certain things that you should always do: how you dress, how you present yourself, what you should ask, how you should respond. How you respond. And nowadays we use a lot of interview different types of skills. We interview people on the phone. The process we use here is we interview people on a phone first, then we bring them in for a one-on-one interview. If you make it through the phone interview, you've done well, which means that you're worthy of getting to that next level. But some people fall down on the telephone interview and never get to the next level because they don't respond well. I mean, and they ask silly questions, which you should never do in an interview. So I think there's where we can serve as a resource there in terms of how we can help people, to further their careers and help them, sustain a good quality of life in the community as well. So I'm really glad to hear you say you're going to do some more with that, because that really is an all-encompassing service that, I think doesn't get emphasized enough. I think a lot of people think of the Council on Aging and the Senior Center as being just strictly an elder services program, but it's actually much more than that.
Yeah, it's hard to have the name of Senior Center without thinking of just people over 60.
Right.
But that's a burden that we bear.
What do you say to the active seniors that are out there? I mean, active seniors meaning people that are in their 60s and even 70s that are really active today. That say, I really don't want to go into the senior center. It's just a place where old people go.
Sure.
I mean, that's a common statement that people say that. So, tell us why they would want to go there.
So the perfect example is my mother. Yeah. So 2 years ago, she turned 60, and she and I were talking, and she had a heart attack at 55, and she knew she needed to improve her life. And she said, I think I'm going to get a Y membership, or I'm going to get a gym membership. And I said, at the time, I was running a senior center. I said, you're not going to go to the senior center? No, Marc, I'm not going to go to senior center. I said, Mom, just try it. And she lived in a different community. I said, just try it. She worked only a couple of days a week, so she had the opportunity to go during the day. She said, that's full of old people.
Right.
So she went to a yoga class, and she came and called me afterwards and said, that was the most intense yoga class I've ever done.
Okay.
And it was full of other 65-year-olds. So it was a younger...
So it was a same folks.
Yeah, for a fraction of the cost. She didn't want to join a gym because she saw the bills.
Yeah, it's expensive.
For $2 for a yoga class, she was able to join. It's maybe taking away some of the stigma of seniors, which is hard. Everyone perceives their age to be differently. I've met 95-year-olds who would never call themselves a senior.
Right.
But they enjoy the programming.
Yeah.
So if someone can get past the word senior and try something new, almost guarantee that they'll love it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great news. So, so what's the message you want to send to the community now that you're here about the services that you provide at Foxboro Human Services?
There are some amazing opportunities coming. Right now I'm working on program proposal forms. So my hope is that there are members of the community who are interested in hosting programs for seniors or for anyone else at the Senior Center to better our community. It's something where if there is someone who teaches Portuguese and wants to teach Portuguese at the Senior Center, we're taking an Azores trip next year that I know some seniors would love to learn Portuguese before they head to the Azores. I'm looking to build upon the successes we already have and make sure that building is packed every single day with people.
So really the message is that you're a resource. You're a resource to people of all ages, not just a certain segment of the population. That we can help people with all kinds of challenges they may have in their life, and that we want to, because that's the reason why we're there, and that's the purpose of providing that level of service. So, Marc, I want to thank you for being
Thank
here
you.
today,
Appreciate
and
it.
it's been a pleasure talking to you, and we hope that we've helped educate the community a little bit more about the services you provide and will be providing into the future, and looking forward to further collaboration and exciting things coming from your operation.
Thank you. Appreciate
All
it
right,
very much.
good to see you.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thanks.
So thanks everyone for joining us on this edition of the Ask Bill Keegan Show. Next up on our show, next up on the next edition of the show will be a discussion with SEMRIC Director, new SEMRIC Director Rob Verdone. We just recently received a $2 million grant from the State 911 Public Safety Administration, and that's in addition to another $1.5 million grant that we received about a year ago. So we're well on our way towards creating this new regional dispatch entity. And what I'd like to do is bring Rob in to talk a little bit about that so that people understand further about the exciting work that's being done in the new regional dispatch operation. So we're hoping to be open by next year. That's really an exciting opportunity for everyone, for the 4 towns of Foxboro, Mansfield, Norton, and Easton, who are all our partners in that project. And we have some other things that we're working on as well that's actually very, very exciting. So hopefully you'll be able to join us for that next show, which will be coming up probably in the next few weeks. So until then, I'll have everybody have a great time, a great week, and a great fall. I hope you're enjoying the good fall weather we're going to have. See you next time.